Artist, producer, and engineer Sam Evian has been busy in the Catskills working on his upcoming third album at his home studio. His years as an engineer at Brooklyn's Figure 8 has given him a skill that's led him to work with acts like Big Thief and Blonde Redhead. Check out Spencer Tweedy's new book, Mirror Sounds, for a profile on Sam and his upstate studio. Hey Sam, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Yeah, good. Thanks so much for joining me.
Yeah, no worries.
Where are you at right now? Are you at your studio?
Yeah, I'm at my home studio up in the Catskills.
Oh, nice. I guess I'll begin by asking about your studio because I was just talking with Spencer Tweedy about his new book, and I think he did a profile on you, didn't he?
He did. I haven't seen it yet, but yeah, he came up here, I guess sometime last year, and we spent a little time together.
What's your setup there? Have you is that the studio you've recorded past albums at, or that's kind of a new one?
It's pretty new. I moved up here with my partner Hannah in 2019. Just last year. We got this place. I think we closed on it December 2018, and then moved in January. So I've been up here, kind of recording since then.
Oh, nice. And you live up there now?
Yeah, we just kind of like tapped out of the city. I don't know, kind of hit a wall there, just in terms of like space. And I mean, I was working at a wonderful studio called Figure 8, and it was really awesome environment. I helped build it like back in 2014, and I don't know. I guess it just like the city was kind of wearing me out, and I wanted to be in the woods.
I guess you were kind of ahead of your time now, considering everything that's happened. I feel like everyone dreams now about having a studio in the Catskills.
I've never been so ahead of the curve.
Yeah. And are you in the middle of recording your album, or have you been producing other people there as well?
I've had a lot of folks up here. Today I was working with Blonde Redhead, just finishing up their mixes for their new album. So they just walked out the door.
Oh, cool. So you're doing mixing, engineering, producing, kind of the whole spectrum of things.
Yeah, whole spectrum. I do a lot of mixing now, just like, I don't know, mobile work. You know, like people from all over will send me some stuff to work on every now and then, and you know, that's been cool. It's been nice to keep the work moving throughout the pandemic.
Is your setup there kind of mainly analog, or are you all for plugins and the whole in the box thing as well?
Yeah, I mean, whatever. I'm pretty up for whatever, whatever it takes to get it done. I have like a couple tape machines, and I have a console, but I also use Pro Tools and UAD stuff. So I'm in / out of the box.
Right.
On most projects, I think.
What I kind of typically begin with is talking about some of the records that got you into production and engineering. Were there some records when you started to think about the other side of recording and how are they getting these sounds, and that it might be something that you potentially want to do with your life, whether it was when you were really little or maybe a little bit older?
Yeah. I mean, definitely. Let's see. I mean, early on, it was, of course, the Beatles. And, I mean, I think the first one that, like, I guess Help was the first one. Sorry, one second. I'm on a call.
You need the orange hard drive.
Oh, no. Sorry, one second.
No worries.
Someone forgot a hard drive. Okay. No. Oh, wait, I do. That's fine. Sorry. Thank you. Bye. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, Help was pretty huge. Like, there's that, I forget which song, but it's like the first instance of like record feedback guitar that George did. I
Feel Fine.
Yeah, I Feel Fine. Is that on Help? I can't remember. It's on one of those early ones. And then like Revolver was, of course, like, how do they do all that? And as a kid, that was always really magical. And then also like Pet Sounds was similar, just like, this music sounds extraordinary. Where is this coming from? And then in high school, it was like Beck, like who didn't, who wasn't blown away by all those productions, and Radiohead, I guess. And yeah, so I got those. Yeah, those are stand out to me in terms of like turning those switches in my head, to start thinking about production techniques and what's going on behind the songs and everything.
And when you first started to record, did you have like a 4-track Tascam setup? Was it GarageBand? When did you kind of start going down that pathway?
Well, my dad had a home studio when I was a kid, so he had like a couple tape machines and a console in one of the rooms in our house, and that always, I guess it was always like in, like, I was peripherally aware of those things. And he recorded his bands and his friends, and he was like a professional engineer in the town we were living in. So I guess when he first started using like his first DAW, I think was Logic, some early version of Logic. And I remember in middle school, I think at one point, the first thing I used was Logic 5, maybe.
Oh, wow.
And I remember just like messing around with the MIDI, the MIDI editor, and like getting really into MIDI orchestration, and doing really primitive sampling. I would like record, I would put a mic up to the boombox and like record tapes. and like I would play my old tapes and record them that way, and then put effects on it. And that was like my first my baby steps into that world. And then I got Cubase when I was in high school, and at that point I was like full on into studying jazz, and I was I went to school for jazz saxophone, so recording was just kind of like something I did to I had like a small interface, and I would record myself playing with different people, like small combos and stuff.
So do you play the sax on your records?
Yeah, well, it's either me or my friend Eddie. Like Eddie has like the really mean like late night kind of saxophone vibe.
Nice.
And I play like more of a woofy tenor situation.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but so it's usually either me or Eddie.
So then when you were in Brooklyn, was it Figure 8 Studios?
Yeah, Figure 8.
So were you kind of going down the path as an engineer and then decided to make your own music, or they kind of were always going to go hand in hand?
I mean, I got into engineering to make my own music. I think I started engineering, I guess. So I went to college for music, and went to Berkeley, and was playing jazz saxophone pretty hardcore. Like it was, practicing 6 hours a day doing that thing. And then I burned out and dropped out. And I got an internship with Blue Microphones, and they brought me to LA to work for them, which was hilarious because the guy in charge of the internship program, his name was Tyler. He had, I don't know, somehow he had like wrangled it so that Esquire magazine decided every year they do this thing called like the Ultimate Bachelor Pad, where they take some crazy house and swank it out and have parties there. And Tyler convinced them to put a recording studio in one of these places. And they did, and they filled it with like Blue Microphones, and they put an SSL duality in there, and filled it with a bunch of other, like, I don't know, Fender and Gibson instruments. And it was like in a pool house north of Sunset Boulevard. Like the mansion itself was like a $14 million mansion.
Oh my God.
And you could like see one of Prince's houses. Like I guess he had a place in the hills from the patio. It was really strange. Anyway, they were like, "You can run this, right?" And I was like, "Absolutely," which was a complete lie because I'd never like worked large format recording. I'd only ever used like at that point I was using Logic and like a PreSonus interface.
With like one fader.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like, and I hadn't studied recording in college like at all. I was still like basically at the level that I had always been, which was just like messing around with MIDI arrangements in Logic. And that's around that time that I also started playing guitar. So, I don't know. I got to LA and took the Duality manual home and bought Pro Tools and an M-Box, and just like started piecing things together. And yeah, it was like, it was only ever like super limited recording that we would do at that place. Like it was usually just for show. So we recorded Tyler's podcast, he has like a Blue Microphone podcast, which is like a 2-mic situation. And I got good at doing that. And then we moved into like recording bands. And I ended up recording like a lot of the vocals for, what is that band? I'll think of it in a minute. Imagine Dragons. Oh my God.
Oh, right. So they were recording there.
Yeah.
At the Esquire Bachelor Pad.
Yeah. They were like nobodies, and Tyler had seen them play at one of the clubs, the Roxy maybe, or what's the one on? Yeah. I can't remember. Yeah. Anyway, he'd seen them play, and, you know, they were just like playing small gigs. And he was like, "I'm going to have these guys up. They're working on the record. We're going to give them some studio time, you know?" And I was like, "Great. I can set up a microphone and record vocals." And I didn't get credit on that record, and I'm not sure how much of it they used. I'm sure they used something though. Anyway, so yeah, on their first record, I recorded a lot of those vocals, apparently. I mean, they were there for like 3 days. It was a really strange session.
That's interesting that I didn't know that you had studied jazz at Berkeley. Do you feel that like you could see yourself re-entering the jazz world? Would you ever make a saxophone album, or could you see your music going more and more improvisational?
Yeah, actually, I'm planning on making a jazz record.
Really?
Yeah, I'd like to make a ballads record.
Like standards?
Yeah, like my favorite ballads, like on the horn with a small group, but make it kind of weird. Like maybe, I don't know, to not have a traditional like small group, maybe have something, I don't know, out there. I have a lot of musicians around that. I mean, a lot of people that I play with are people that learned how to play jazz early on, you know?
Right.
I feel like, yeah, it's just like, I think it was a common thing for like kids to go to school for jazz and then become disillusioned and confused because, I mean, the state of jazz education is quite strange. You know, it's like an American art form. It's a black art form. And then you have all these like suburban white kids like learning how to play bebop. And it's like, what, this is really, it's a strange concept. Anyway, I stopped playing horn for like 10 years, and now I'm kind of like circling back, and I've been enjoying it and appreciating it. So I think I want to make
your passion for jazz
record.
kind of has continued. Like, do you stay in touch with the scene? Like, do you listen to new jazz players or?
No, I mean, I listen to jazz every day, but it's like I listen to Miles Davis and John Coltrane and Thelonious Monk, and I don't listen to anything new really. I mean, I stay in touch a little. I mean, I like Kamasi Washington. He's amazing. And, you know, I like what Flying Lotus was doing with Thundercat and like Ravi Coltrane. They were kind of like going into a fusion-y jazz kind of space, but new. And, you know, there are also there are other things that I tune into every now and then. I mean, just living in New York, it was impossible not to for that amount of time. Like I would go to a lot of shows at the Stone, and you know, that was all like new music space. Like I wouldn't call it jazz, but you know, I guess it's definitely in that it shares a space like in improvised music, and like all the whole like Zorn school. And Bill Frisell moved to New York at some point, or he spent a lot of time in New York, so I'd run into him a lot. And I mean, just like he would come in and record at Figure Eight, and also Mark Ribot is a staple at Figure Eight. So I guess I stayed in touch with that world a little bit. Yeah.
So I guess that kind of segues into the present albums that you're enjoying the production of, whether by friends or albums that you've discovered recently.
What about? Well, I listen to a lot of old music and a lot of reissues because the reissue game is just so incredibly strong. I mean,
sorry, who is it? It cut out for a sec.
Oh, sorry. I was just saying I listen to a lot of old music still. Like I feel like you can just like there are so many reissues these days, and there's so many things coming out that, you know, have been lost in an attic for years, and I think it's we're so lucky to be able to hear that stuff. And I haven't listened to a ton of new music, but I mean, in terms of new records, Nick Hakim is a friend of mine, and I love his work so much. He just put out a new record this past couple months ago, I guess. And his last two records are incredible. But like Hannah and I have been digging this Turkish psychedelic artist named Selda Bagkan. I don't know if I'm saying her last name right, but it's Selda, Selda, and then Bagcan.
Huh. What label
she was
is
like,
that
on? I don't know. There are all these. She has like a ton of stuff on the internet. Like she was a student and like in Turkey, and like made like radical psychedelic music that was kind of fused with like her folk roots. I'm trying to think of some other stuff. Yeah, I found this other incredible. This guy named Sin Sasamuth. God, there's a record called Wat Phenom, and it's I think he's like from Singapore, or he might be Cambodian, but I don't know. All this stuff, like you basically can go. Yeah, he's Cambodian, but you basically can go like deep dive on YouTube and just let it roll and find this incredible music that. I don't know. It's been really fun to go down that road. And then
I was going to ask how you digest music.
Like,
is it through Spotify, YouTube, vinyl? Are you on kind of doing everything?
Yeah, I'm all of the above. I mean, we have a pretty big vinyl collection that we listen to like a couple of records every night, but in between that, like in the car and other places, I'm pretty much on the online, you know, tip, either YouTube or Spotify or Tidal, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then beyond that, I'm just like on a huge Caetano kick. Like I just, for the last 2 years, really, I've just been so into Caetano and just like hit the Gal Costa and like just like that Brazilian scene from the 60s and 70s.
Yeah, that stuff's amazing.
Yeah, and Milton Nascimento, all those people. It's just, yeah, it's so cool.
And then I guess lastly, kind of future, is there an album that you're looking forward to that is either in the works or that an artist that you've always been meaning to discover that you plan on checking out?
Well, let's see. I just finished my new record, which I'm excited to, I don't know, put out in the world someday, not too far from now.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And then Hannah has like a batch of new songs that super groovy, and I can't wait to work on them. So we're going to start that this month, I think. Big Thief was here this summer at my studio, and they made an incredible like group of recordings, and they're working on a big project, and so this was part of that project, and I'm really excited to see how it turns out.
That's exciting.
Yeah, and this Blonde Redhead record is sounding really cool, and I'm psyched for them to. It's going to be their 10th record, I think. Yeah, I mean,
you've kind of kept yourself busy in the past 6 months up there.
Yeah, it's been. I mean, luckily, it's a good place to retreat to, and it's a good. It's a really beautiful place, like to make music. So, we've been able to keep the work moving and keep music happening, which is, we're super lucky.
That's awesome. Well, it's really great to talk with you, and I'm really looking forward to your new album.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, I'll send it along when I'm allowed to.